We continue to follow breaking news. The president's son, Hunter Biden, has been indicted on federal gun charges. He now faces 3 felony counts related to possessing a firearm. 2 of the charges are related to Biden claiming he was not using illegal drugs when he purchased a revolver back in October of 2018. Now, this indictment comes after the collapse of a related diversion agreement back in July, you may remember. If convicted, Hunter Biden could face up to 25 years in prison. Earlier this afternoon, Republican House Oversight Chair James Comer reacted to this indictment news.
I'm still holding out hope that Weiss does the right thing. This is the one charge, the least of all the dozen crimes he's committed, the one charge, the one crime that Joe Biden.
Are you suggesting there's something?
News congressional correspondent Nikole Killion joins us from Capitol Hill. Nikole, all of this just breaking within the past hour. What fresh reaction are you hearing from lawmakers there in the wake of this news?
Well, as you can imagine, most of this is split on party lines, and obviously we are in the midst of this House Republican impeachment inquiry that was just launched this week, mostly stemming in part from ongoing investigations into Hunter Biden and into some of the president's associates and family members with respect to their business dealings. We did speak very briefly a short time ago with the House Oversight Chair James Comer, who of course is leading this inquiry and has been leading many of the investigations on the Biden front. And what he said is he believes that these are, quote, easy charges, that, to a certain extent, these were expected because this was part of that plea deal agreement that you referenced that ultimately fell apart. And obviously, because he is the one investigating, he believes that there is still more wrongdoing out there on the part of Hunter Biden, which of course, again, gets to some of the congressional investigations that are taking part here. But that being said, I also spoke to Dan Goldman, a Democrat who was part of the impeachment council here in the House back in 2019, now a member representing New York. And he said, if Republicans are seeking additional charges against Hunter Biden, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're talking about. You have to let this process play out legally. So, there is a difference of opinion here. Some Republicans, though, believe that, these charges are merely a slap on the wrist and clearly want to see more come out of this. But that being said, Democrats are either, again, kind of deferring to the Justice Department and their handling of this matter, or in some cases, not really commenting at all, which is the case of Senator Chris Coons of Delaware, who we tried to get reaction from him, and he just said, there's really nothing new here.
It's interesting, Nikole, because Comer has a point. These are crimes, alleged crimes, that Hunter Biden, in a way, already admitted to, but as part of that plea agreement over the summer. And you started by mentioning how this is in the shadow of this new impeachment inquiry the House is launching to see if there's any influence or connection that President Biden had over his son's business dealings. Just further explain for us how there's some overlap between these indictments which have been handed up and the House impeachment inquiry, but also other areas that the House intends to explore.
Well, I think keep in mind that the investigations here on Capitol Hill have not really looked at this issue of gun charges. So this is, to a certain extent, a separate matter that has been handled in the course of the ongoing Justice Department investigation, now taken over by the special counsel, Andrew Weiss, who was ultimately the one who announced these charges. But, with respect to the investigations here, primarily they do seem to go into the business dealings of not only Hunter Biden, but again, other Biden family members and associates. As we know, Hunter Biden served on this board of a Ukrainian energy company. So, for instance, the committee has been looking at his role there and whether or not he tried to use any kind of influence and the role of his father, who was then the vice president, to try to, enrich himself more or less. There are also investigations, for instance, into Hunter Biden and his tax records and dealings. As we know, there were 2 IRS whistleblowers who testified not too long ago here on Capitol Hill, who suggested, wrongdoing on the part of Hunter Biden and mishandling of the Justice Department in its probe of, the tax charges against Hunter Biden. So there are multi-layers to all of this, but none of them here on the Hill are specifically related to the gun charges that were filed earlier today.
Yeah, very good point, Nikole. And I want you to stand by with me. As I mentioned, this is a breaking story that just emerged in the past hour or so. We now have a statement from Hunter Biden's attorney. Just want to make sure we share that with our viewers in full so they're aware of everything happening here in real time. Hunter Biden's attorney says, quote, "As expected, prosecutors filed charges today they deemed were not warranted just 6 weeks ago following a 5-year investigation into this case. The evidence in this matter has not changed in the last 6 weeks, but the law has, and so has MAGA Republicans' improper and partisan interference in this process." Again, this is the statement from Hunter Biden's attorney on this news of the indictment. The statement goes on to read that Hunter Biden possessing an unloaded gun for 11 days was not a threat to public safety, but a prosecutor with all the power imaginable bending to political pressure presents a grave threat to our system of justice. The statement ends by reading, "We believe these charges are barred by the agreement the prosecutors made with Mr. Biden in recent rulings by several federal courts that this statute is unconstitutional." The statement ends by saying, "and the facts that he did not violate that law, and we plan to demonstrate all of that in court." So the statement from Hunter Biden's attorney on the news that this Delaware grand jury has handed up 3 indictments. Nikole, wondering if just in our last few moments with you, anything from that statement jumps at you?
Well, interesting that they mentioned to a certain extent or seem to reference what might be happening on Capitol Hill with respect to some of these Republican-led investigations. There has been a desire to try to extract more information from Hunter Biden and his legal team, which they have pushed back on and pushed back against at times. And I think really kind of exemplifies perhaps the tug of war that we could see going forward, because as you know, House Republicans, particularly Chair Comer, the Judiciary Chair Jim Jordan, the House Ways and Means Chair Jason Smith do want to get more aggressive with respect to their investigations. Part of why this impeachment inquiry was launched was because they felt that the White House and Hunter Biden's team were kind of stonewalling them. So I think, this will only likely intensify between, House Republicans, the White House, Hunter Biden's legal team as we move forward with this inquiry.
Yeah, I think that's an accurate prediction. Nikole Killion with reaction from both Democrats and Republicans, and we included the statement from Hunter Biden's attorney as well. Thank you.